Welcome to another Gamma Partner Artist feature. Today we speak with Sir Gadfly. Sir Gadfly speaks on all things Bitcoin, gold, working in Hollywood, directing Power Rangers, and how his experience as a father, a son, working with Dr. Phil completely shaped his life as a person and as a creator, and how he likes to impart wisdom on others and also keep learning as he paves the way as an artist on Ordinals. I think you'll like this conversation. Okay, so very, very happy and excited to have Sir Gadfly on with us today. Sir Gadfly is one of our, Gamma Partner artists, but he has been on the Ordinal scene from the start. You've had an amazing history in your work life, and now as a creator, I'd love for you to, introduce yourself. Tell us your story. How did you get to this point? You've been doing some amazing stuff in the Ordinal space.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. And greetings from beautiful Northern California. It's so nice to have it, this opportunity to talk with you, Brett, and, kind of share some of my story and let people know, what's happening and where I've come from. It's been a long, crazy journey. You know what I mean? Yeah, I grew up on a farm. I'm on the family farm. I kind of boomerang back to the farm to raise my kids and my family. And, I played college football and I've had just such an incredible life. Went to UC Davis and then moved to LA like 2 days after Davis. The storytelling bug has always been in me. All of the art has a purpose and it has a story behind it. It has, like a point A to point B. And that's just something that's really important to me is to have depth and purpose. And, I make art for a reason. But yeah, no, I did the whole Hollywood thing, and was very blessed. Did, some game show stuff, did some horse world, some horse shows because I grew up on a farm and was blessed to travel, most of Europe and experience that. And then, what really was a big pivotal moment was working on this, of all things, an alien autopsy show. The thing about Hollywood is that you're only as successful as your partners. You know what I mean? And I truly believe that. Like even to this day, I've been doing TV for God, it's decades. We're just gonna say decades. And I don't do a resume. I don't have to do that stuff. It's all word of mouth. You know what I mean? And I travel around and do big shows like Hoarders. I did Dr. Phil for years. I was at Paramount Pictures for 11 years. Boots on the ground staff. And in my early part of my career, I've always loved story. And I got really an opportunity of a lifetime. I had been editing some commercial stuff and writing and had a lot of people bring me under their wing. And I got a gig at Fox Kids. And that was really one of the most important things in my life, being able to really succeed, write, kids programming, and then be in a position to start directing Power Rangers and directing some of those shows. It was massive for me, so I've been blessed to be in the Writers Guild. I'm also in the Editors Guild. So when I was at Fox, I ended up transitioning to editing because it was all about story. It was like following story. And, the writing is a really amazing piece of the process, but the editing is really, to me, was sexier, and when you're in the edit bay, you're the last line of defense before it goes to the general public. And I've been like in the trenches in those edit bays, for what are called quick turnaround shows. I edited Entertainment Tonight and these fast shows that literally go in and out the door. And when you're in the bay like that, the turnaround's so fast. The legal team's in there. You've got executives. You've got like people, not necessarily, like over your back, but it's so pivotal and important, the story that are going out the door, that the general public's going to see, that legal's got to bless it. Clearance has to bless it. Errors and omissions have to bless it. There's all these pieces of the puzzle, from a protective standpoint. And I had been in the trenches and have done literally 10,000 short form stories, just thousands and thousands and thousands of stories. And, I ended up transitioning, back to the farm, about 8 years ago. And it was really important to me at the time. My kids, I had 2 daughters, and LA was a great place. I lived in an amazing neighborhood, but I really didn't want them to kind of do the middle school, high school kind of thing there. I wanted them to have some really strong morals, and small town living was important to me. It had really shaped who I was, and I really wanted it to influence them, a smaller community, a real sense of community. So we moved back to the farm. I continued editing. All my friends in Hollywood were like crazy, like, hey, why are you leaving these, big 6-figure job, whatever. And it wasn't about the money. You know what I mean? It really wasn't. It was really about quality of life. I'm really glad I had made the move, 5 years before COVID, because then when COVID hit, I was already remoting. It was like I had already set up the infrastructure, and since COVID is lifted, a lot of people have left Hollywood and LA. I've gotten several staff offers to come back to LA, but a lot of people have vacated the big cities. And so that aside, story had always been important to me. And my mother really was struggling, and in the last few years I was taking care of my mom, and I got into this digital art. I got into crypto. Bitcoin was the first crypto I'd ever been exposed to. I had an office here in town. I've since been able to get internet at the farm so I can work remotely from the farm. But, up here in small town America, the internet's not as good as it would be in the big cities. So, I had to literally get a physical office to get enough bandwidth to really do anything, worth a darn. I had basically I know every library and the speed tested everything in the community. So I knew everywhere I could go, because time is important. And that's one thing that I'll say is this: time is precious. And we have to, even though the chaos is in this world, I really think I'm a champion for positivity and success, that we can all be successful, and I preach to my kids, don't think, just do. That's my big mantra. I've always said that. Don't think, just do, because when you think, you really stop yourself. So I've always put myself in a position to just do, always doing, and always pushing the edge. And, even today, just really some of the stuff of, audio, and I've got some of the most amazing composers, with this background in TV and film. So I have, libraries of music that I'm now going to access, and bringing music and sound design to the art. I think that's going to be a really cool next step. So yeah, no, it's just been an amazing journey. My mom passed away a couple months ago, and during that process, I had set up a graphic station on the kitchen table so I could watch my mom. She had a little dementia and she was wandering, and I was literally sleeping at the foot of her bed, and I would, basically watch her and take care of my family and my kids, and then, I would do graphics like, this form of graphics, short form storytelling, you know, um, say for 3 in the morning, you know what I mean? And then I would sleep from like 3 to 8 or 9, and then get up and make mom breakfast and, go about my life. And then my dad would be up and my dad could watch my mom a little bit. But it's been an incredible journey, getting back to that glitch gold. My mom was there for most of that stuff. Some of that stuff had been built prior to ordinals coming about, and my first inscription was February 17th of you know, God, back in, it just seems so long ago, but it's only been, what has it been, 8 months, 9 months? That glitch gold stuff was all short form animation, and it had to be reinvented. A lot of that stuff, like I was saying, um, I had some opportunity to do some stuff with Super Rare and with um, what's the other one, Maker's Place, and I had submitted some stuff, and then all of a sudden this ordinal thing happened, and I ended up pulling all that artwork and reworking it to fit, this new thing that was happening, this new Bitcoin ordinal thing that was just, to me, just revolutionary. When I heard that the art was immutable and it was on the nodes and it was never going to go away, and I had just seen some stuff in the ETH space, where um, the developers had pulled the art and kind of done a, not a rug pull, but had swapped the art out. Like literally the art transitioned. I forget the project, and I don't want to point any fingers, but it was like literally like the art completely changed. They changed all the IPF stuff. So when I knew that this stuff was going to last forever, and I think long term, I don't think, for the day or the week or the month, I mean, I think for the decade, I think that's something, as you get older, you really see bigger picture. And I'm just so blessed. I'm so fortunate. I found Gamma. Honestly, you guys really were there. I mean, like, Doc Hollywood had done a space, and my first piece that I really did, we did a free airdrop on Doc's nighttime. I forget the name of the space, but he did a piece, and Maximus, was the first kind of free drop that we had done. So I'm very blessed. Yeah. So what am I getting distracted? How am I doing here?
Not at all. No, as you said, you love storytelling, and I think that you do it, really well. So it sounds like you've had all of these very unique experiences, and also thank you for sharing about your mum. Sorry to hear about her passing. Tell me, how do you think your experience, in Hollywood, has that driven your creative direction? Do you think that that's kind of shaped the stuff that you like to create?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would, you know, I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of tools around me, and I use a lot of smaller stuff too, like Pixelator Pro is like become my favorite piece of artwork. I used to love After Effects and I used to love Photoshop, but I think for me at least, there's other tools. I've fell in love with Apple Motion. Its 3D camera is phenomenal. You can do as much in that as you can in After Effects. And I think that Pixelator Pro, is comparable to Photoshop. So, there's just you use the tools. The tools are what they are. Chat GPT, Mid Journey. I've dabbled in Mid Journey. I've dabbled in everything. There's so much. It's so darn exciting what is available to us for artists. And having again, I'm not shilling here, but I'm honestly like what Gamma has done is like from an artist point of view that's not a coder and who is or at least is learning coding, what I mean? What you guys have done has just been phenomenal. I mean, I can't thank you guys enough. But yeah, it has definitely shaped me, knowing the ins and outs and how to do stuff and directing and point of views and angles and and telling short stories, like these. The Hoodlums are a 6-frame animation. The Glitch Gold stuff were 3 or 4-frame animations, and they were the early stuff was the GIF related stuff. And then I ended up going to everything's WebP now. And I know like even other artists, come to me and I'm an open book. Like if you're an artist and you want help, just reach out to me. My DMs are open. I'm always DMing with people. I'm asking, more coding language side of people. And honestly, Chat GPT helped me today get over a huge hurdle on how to integrate audio with a piece that I'm really happy that's going to be a release for Halloween. It's kind of like a Stranger Things tribute with Hoodlums vibes and with a really incredible sound design. And it's exciting to be able to bring audio to the visual. I think that is just fascinating. I don't know, man. I just get really excited about this stuff.
No, I think that that's great. And it's so good to see you really pushing the envelope and trying to learn from people, and then also allowing people to come and get that knowledge from you. One thing which I noticed from, Glitch Gold, it's in the title, and then in your Hoodlums, and we'll look at your prints afterwards, is, and I know we've spoken about this before, but I'd love for you to elaborate on it. I guess your affinity or your love of gold, or at least what gold represents.
Oh my God. Okay, so I live in the gold country. I've always loved gold. I have a gold necklace that's from a major river up here. I have gold mining friends, gold panning friends. A I have a gold detector, a metal detector that I use. You know, um, I've done TV shows on gold. I love history. I love telling the story of history. Um, I'm fascinated with the way California came to be. I've read there's a book of a French journalist that wrote his story of coming to California around the Horn up on the boat and just basically educating people. I love gold, everything about gold. I think we're in digital gold. I think Bitcoin is the next gold. I mean, we went from the Stone Age to the Bronze Age to, the whatever. We're in the digital gold age for me. So I wear a big nugget around, not a big nugget, but I wear a gold nugget around my neck. My dad had got me for my 16th birthday. We got matching gold chains. And then for my 18th birthday, he took me in a place and had me pick out a nugget. So I've got a gold nugget. It's organic, it's real, and it's priceless. And I just love it. I love everything about it. You know what I mean?
Of course, no, I can tell, and you can see it in your artwork. It must inspire the way that you create, or at least what you like to be represented. For example, your PFP with that king.
Yeah, and I like motion. That's the thing. That it's just my brain's always on fire. I've always been active. I'm a massive hiker and skier and downhiller and techer, and I haven't been as active as I'd like to be recently, but I'm getting more active. The passing of my mother, that chapter took a lot of my life, and now I'm kind of reclaiming it. I'm really excited about going to Amsterdam and traveling. I haven't traveled in a long time. And so this is a really big opportunity. I've had a challenging life. I found my brother who's a meth head, and I've got him sober. He's an ex-army, and I got him in the VA, and I'm turning his life around. And he's going to cover for me and watch my dad, who's 91, and he's pretty self-sufficient, but as we get older, we have to take care of our elders. We have to honor them. I think it's really important. I'm a family guy. And I'm a loving human being. So it's really important to me. My dad's the old school age of, kind of like the tough love thing. And, I even tell him, I'm like, Dad, it's okay to say you love someone. Whatever. So I don't want to get too preachy or lovey-dovey or whatever, but I do think that we need more love in this planet. There's a lot of hostility, and coming from the media side, I know how stories shaped, and there's a big difference between what we're presented and what's reality. So you kind of have to, look at, what is being shown to us, and what we actually feel, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's really well said. And it's interesting. Let's pull up the prints that you've done at Gamma. They've done really well. Obviously, people are really, I guess, your art is really resonating with collectors. You can
Yeah,
talk us through.
that Hoodsy piece was so important to me, and that thing sold out so fast. I was so overwhelmed. I was so thrilled. I really loved that piece. That to me was kind of the end of to me, that piece celebrates the end of the day. That's like a creative sitting down, taking a break. He's just slayed the day. And it was just I love Banksy. I love the graffiti style. I wanted to introduce more of that stuff. There's about 6 or 7 layers in there that are blending with an RGB split shift, and there's just a lot of subtleties with some ASIC, what I call ASIC, which is the coding numbers. That's really important to me to have that kind of energy in there. Um, and then it was kind of funny. I really The next piece was a 9/11 tribute. You know what I mean? And I thought that was important. Nobody had really done anything like that. And that really connected with a lot of veterans. I think it's really important to remember our past, as we, really move forward into the future. And then the next piece, the hooded piece, was kind of the flip side of Hoodsy. Hooded was about the beginning of the day. The guy standing up, he's like showered in vibrancy and color, and he's got a little bit of a spark behind his head, like creativity is exploding. That was another piece, and I'm for all three of those are sold out. I'm just so grateful to these collectors. A lot of people have gotten more than one, which, as a collector, I think that's pretty awesome. Normally you keep one and maybe sell one or give one away. Somebody gave away one of the pieces. I forget which one it was. There was a gentleman, Moral, in the community, and it was just, he hit me up and he's like, hey, I'm giving this piece away. And he's like, I've given pieces away in the past before, but the feedback on this one's out of control. Like, it's 10 times what the other pieces that I've given away. So, and then the most recent piece is Bitlord, which is kind of a throwback to the glitch gold. I had done some of that head bob stuff, and it was kind of like something that was really subtle. And this is more of a modern version in WebP that's a little more detailed. The WebP, these are 1024 by 1024 is kind of the sweet spot on border sizes for me. Some of the glitch gold are smaller than that, But I think that was just kind of the nature of where we were at that space. I almost refer to those as petroglyphs in a way. They're older pieces, but they're beautiful. They're amazing. There's a little more artifacting in these current pieces. But I think that's just part of history, being there at that moment in time. That's yeah, I don't know. I think they're gorgeous. I've been blessed. A lot of people have reached out, and there's some interest in that. I don't know what I'm going to do with those pieces. This parent-child thing's really exciting. I just did my first parent-child's as a drop to the hoodlum people, and it's called Bit Glitch. So it's so exciting, Brett. I mean, it's just I couldn't have really done any of this stuff without you guys, and um, yeah,
Well, yeah, we really appreciate having you around, and your art is fantastic, your enthusiasm, your passion for this whole space. I suppose, as you mentioned parent child, but as each little I guess new innovation comes out, you seem to really be pushing and be on the forefront of it. What is something that you'd love to do that you haven't been able to do yet, or what do you envision that you'd like to do moving forward?
I'm doing more physical stuff. The hoodlum, I've been doing these 3D interactive panels. And basically I take 2 frames. So those animations are 6 frames. So what I do is I've been making 3 panels, and they're lenticulars. So they're interactive. So as you move through the room, the panels move. So that's like a piece that I'm really trying to do more of. And now that I've figured out how to do that, I've been making these art, frames, and so I've been sending those out to collectors all around the world. Um, Honestly, I don't know. This nut or this thing that just cracked with me, this audio piece, is really exciting. So that's what I've been working with today, is creating, a whole level of audio beds. I'd like to really marry audio with a lot of this art. So there's a piece that came out today. And it took me 5 or 6. There's the core piece, the visual piece that I really love, and then I made an audio, like a 28-second audio bed, and it's going to be for this Halloween drop. And your Jack, one of your developers, kind of worked with me and helped me, and we think that's going to work for print. So that's going to be a really cool drop. So I think really getting audio onto some of this art, I think, is going to be really amazing. And then I want to tell longer stories. I think as this compression gets better, I'd like to go to some longer stuff. And for me, maybe that's 30 frame animations. You know, um, I really want to start going through objects in a 3D space. I think that is definitely on my challenge. I could do that in Tezos, and I could do that in ETH, because you've got a lot more bandwidth. Um, but I think I'm going to try and do something. I like loops. I like things that take you a place, and you never really get there. So I'm going to explore that. And, I'm really looking forward to heading to Amsterdam and being in Inscribing Amsterdam, and the people that I've touched out with. I'm bringing my laptop. They said I could, oh, it's starting to sprinkle here. And I'm outside. I'm bringing my laptop, and I'm going to bring my node. And they said that they would help me, command line code or commands. And I'm probably not saying that correctly, but I'm going to be learning. So I'm always learning. I mean, I really, preach that, knowing nothing, and just being humble and being respectful and honoring people, and just learning and sharing. That's the other thing, is just sharing. I mean, you get back as much as you give. So I'm a giver. I've helped so many people onboard into the space, in the back channels, Denzo, and there's many artists that I'm trying to get, to come on board. So yeah, bringing more artists in, I think, would be amazing for the space. And just, really continuing to push this compression piece. The hoodlum stuff, it is born because I figured out a compression workflow to make that stuff look really powerful, and even on large monitors, it looks powerful. Um, Art displays, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think that, the world's our oyster in a way.
Absolutely. No, I think you answered that really well. And it's so exciting just to hear how many different ideas, but not just random ideas, things that are very passionate about. And I think that really shines through when you speak. And so as we start to wrap up, what advice would you give creators who are either already in Bitcoin or are coming onto Bitcoin?
Advice, obviously there's so much you can Google, but just get a good wallet. I've been very happy with Xverse and Unisat. Um, ask questions, hit me up, hit other people up. Just understand the compression, embrace it. You can't just make your art. You've got to kind of make art for Bitcoin. I think that's something really you got to consider. I've been using satting. I've been really going down the rare sat thing. I've collected, I don't know, probably 100,000 different rare sats recently. I got a really good score. I got 250 block nines. So I'm really starting to, I look at them as canvases. I've been really trying to gather as much canvas as possible for the art, because I do think that that's going to be a rare commodity in the future. So it's like, and for other people, like, just do your best, ask questions. I'm available. Tons of people are available in the community. There are people that are more recursive. I'm more on chain. And now that I've kind of started to do a little bit of recursive, I've figured out how to pair a visual with an audio. I think that's going to be an exciting thing. And the other thing is that, it's all open source. So it's not like anybody's hiding anything. You could just look at the code, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I would just say that just go for it. I mean, in a sense, you just got to buy some Bitcoin and just do it. You know what I mean? Like, if I hadn't done those first 100 or 200 inscriptions, hoodlums wouldn't be what they are today. You know what I mean? Or the stuff that I have in the future, that I'm doing. I'm really working in an orange space. It's like, as a creative, like, even when this is funny. I've done so much TV show, and I was at Dr. Phil for 11, I don't know, 14 years. And when you tell a story, sometimes you got to challenge yourself. So I would go into the edit bay and I'd have to lay out a story about whatever it was. And I would open up my effects and it would be literally like, hey, tonight I'm going to challenge myself and I'm going to use these 5 music cues, these 10 sound effects, these 10 visual effects, and I'm going to go, 50% color saturation. And that would be it. And that was your night, because you have to make content and you have to believe in yourself. And that's really important, is really, I think that for any artist to just believe in yourself, channel your God-given power. When I would go in an edit bay, I didn't think about it. Again, this goes back to the don't think, just do. I was just channeling. Like, I would sit there and I would lay out a story and I didn't really think about it. I just was in the moment, and it was like, oh, that goes there and that goes there and that goes there. And I don't know if that's just how that works out for me, but I've got a unique sense of story and progression, and a lot of it's pacing, and again, pacing for story, pacing for music, pacing for swells, and I think that's going to be true in this ordinal space. Is just pacing yourself. You don't want to burn out. I've got a lot on my roadmap, but I don't know how much of it I'll get to. You know what I mean? I'm really excited for the hoodlum stuff. I'm really excited about the community that this small community that I'm building, in that space.
No, I think that
Yeah.
that is seriously sufficient. Some beautiful things for people who are in the space and people who want to come into the space. I think they can always, like you said, really learn from just asking questions, being passionate, being authentic. And like you said, don't think, just do. So that's a great place to finish. Thank you so much, Sir Gadfly. Always, we could keep talking, but we do need to wrap up. Always a pleasure to discuss with you, talk about ordinals, talk about Bitcoin, and, dive a little bit deeper into your history. So thank you so much for spending the time with us.
Oh, my pleasure, Brett. I really appreciate it. And thank you. And thank you for what you guys do, you and Nick and the team and all the Gamma people. You guys are just rock stars. I really appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you back. Thanks so much.